What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today is the final leg of my draft season. This is the original, not mock draft. This is the draft where I place players in the best places they fit, not where I think they're going to go. The reason I do this is because sometimes people don't understand that schemes, systems, even familiarity really matters when it comes to players being drafted. So with that being said, I'm going to start at the very top of my not mock draft. So for the best fit for the Tennessee Titans, I have Shedeur Sanders. The reason I have Shedeur Sanders has everything to do with the fact that a quarterback like Cam Ward, Bill Callahan and them are not used to developing those type of quarterbacks. A quarterback that has the ability to run and at the same time is a very solid passer. The reason I say Shedeur Sanders is because Shedeur Sanders actually fits exactly what Bill Callahan and them run. They fit the scheme of that modified West Coast offense, which is technically what Shedeur Sanders ran at Colorado. Now again, I'm not certain what goes on beyond that, but again, I just feel that when you watch Shedeur Sanders play, you see the type of scheme he comes from. You deal with the coaching staff that is there. Shedeur Sanders is actually the exact type of quarterback that that Brian Callahan has had for a big portion of his career. So for that, Shedeur Sanders is the best fit for the Tennessee Titans. Next is the Cleveland Browns. Again, this year, just to clean up a little stuff, I went with all guys that could possibly go in the first round. I didn't really like doing that, but I did what I could when I came down to it. So again, I'm keep on going. The number 2 overall pick, the best player that fits here in Cleveland, without a shadow of a doubt, is Quinshon Judkins, the running back out of Ohio State, also out of former Ole Miss. Quinshon Judkins he would beat out Jerome Ford. Not only that, we're talking about the history of Cleveland has always had the issue of reliability and availability when it came to the running back position. They've had moments where Nick Chubb was just one of the best running backs in the league. Next thing you know, he's injured and they're struggling the rest of the way down. Quinshon Judkins is everything you need. He's available. He's durable when it comes to playing a lot, and even taking a lot of carries. At Ole Miss, he carried the ball a lot. But in Ohio State, not as much because he was sharing time with Travion Henderson. But again, I just feel that when it comes down to it, Quinshon Judkins is the best fit for the Cleveland Browns. Next, the New York Giants, and of course I went quarterback here. Cam Ward actually fits their scheme. Not only that, it helps Brian Daboll get back to his roots, and that's dealing with a quarterback that has the ability to run, and that would make that offense better. Again, he tried to do it with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones just wasn't the right quarterback. But Cam Ward Cam Ward does have that Josh Allen ability. And for Brian Daboll, that would be a really good fit for him to get Cam Ward into his system, so then he's not sitting there trying to force a square peg into a round hole. So, which is a kind of like a goofy saying, but neither here or there. I just feel when it comes down to it, Cam Ward fits this offense perfectly, and he would be the perfect fit for the New York Giants. Next is the New England Patriots. For me, you have to give Drake May an opportunity to really be successful. And for me, when you think about Mike Vrabel being there in New England now, what he used to do down in Tennessee, what he did in Tennessee, and the type of players he had at Tennessee. With that being said, the guy who best fits in New England is Omarion Hampton. You give Drake May familiarity when it comes to the running back position. And you get a running back who can actually take on the load that Mike Vrabel gave to Derrick Henry. So, and with not necessarily his full size, but his running style. So you can actually give him the ball 20 to 30 times a game, and he just wear the defense down. So for that, I think Omarion Hampton is the best fit for the New England Patriots. Next is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this will be Trevor Lawrence's, I think, third offense. Might be his fourth, but no, it's his third. This will be his third offense since he's been in the league. That's a lot of offense, when it comes down to it. No, I think it's his fourth. I think it's his fourth offense he's been in since he's been in the league. That's going to be a lot. I don't think that Ian Cohen will have this team turned around overnight. Sorry, Jacksonville fans, I do feel that your team is going to be a little bad this year. But if you're going to be bad, you might as well build up the trenches like you need to. Walker Little has been struggling a little bit. And with that being said, the guy I have as the best fit for the Jacksonville Jaguars is Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. This starts the rebuild process. This starts the building up process. And then come next year, if you really feel that Trevor Lawrence is not meeting the goals you need him to meet, then you can actually trade him and select a guy in the next upcoming draft, because I do feel that Jacksonville will not be as good as people want them to be, and they're going to struggle come next year, especially offensively, as they install this new offense. And it's going to be one that's going to be complicated for Trevor Lawrence. So with that, Josh Simmons is the best fit as a rebuilding piece. The Las Vegas Raiders. The best fit I have here is something that I know Pete Carroll's going to want. And he's going to want it because he understands what his offense is. What his defense is and what he needs in that defense. And he needs his chaos controller. And for that, the best fit for the Las Vegas Raiders is Cody Simon, the middle linebacker out of Ohio State. Green dot guy, knows how to call plays, makes a play when needs to, is faster to the hole and faster sideline to sideline than Bobby Wagner was when Pete Carroll had him. So I think that when it comes down to it, Pete Carroll wants his new Bobby Wagner. He's going to need that guy to basically elevate his defense. And for me, Cody Simon is that guy. The green dot. To me, he's the best middle linebacker in this draft. So I know that there's going to be people who may argue that, but to me, he's the best middle linebacker in this draft, and I think he's the perfect fit for him is, in fact, the Las Vegas Raiders. Next is the New York Jets. This is one of those things where I think Justin Fields is going to have a fantastic season come next season because of what the Jets do. He's there with Garrett Wilson, his former wide receiver, and Jeremy Ruckert, his former tight end. I think we're going to see a completely different Justin Fields, and we're going to possibly see Justin Fields finally put it together. I think that if they add this other element to this, then you're really going to put Justin Fields in the best position possible. And it gives you an opportunity to really win before you have to pay him. With that, I have Emeka Egbuka as the pick for Seattle. I think he's the best fit. Again, it gives Justin Fields another target that he's slightly familiar with. I don't think Egbuka was there. Oh, no, was Egbuka there? Egbuka, no, because it was Egbuka might have been there when Justin Fields was there. He might have been, or he might have came right after Justin Fields left. But either way, Emeka Egbuka is probably the best fit because then Egbuka is the perfect complement to a Garrett Wilson. And because Abuka's played second fiddle before, it wouldn't be hard for him to play second fiddle again and be a top end guy that, let's just say something was to happen to Garrett Wilson, then you got Egbuka right there to pick up the slot. And again, this to me, we're talking about this may be the best offensive output we see from Justin Fields. So again, for me, with the New York Jets, Emeka Egbuka is the fit. Next, the Carolina Panthers. We saw a resurgence to Bryce Young. And what we saw is that Bryce Young can be a franchise quarterback. With that being said, he needs a weapon that is going to get him to be able to be more destructive as a quarterback and show that he should be placed as the franchise quarterback moving forward. With that being said, I actually got them taking a guy that he's actually familiar with. A guy that used to be one of his receivers back when he was at Alabama. And that guy is Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver out of Texas. A speedy guy, Z receiver, familiarity with Bryce Young. I'm telling you, this will be something that Bryce Young will absolutely need. A guy he can throw it to, and that would be absolutely reliable to him. Not only that, somebody he would trust when it comes to throwing the ball. It's a guy that, I mean, you're talking about a Z receiver that would speed down the field and get open. Not only that, he's also a fairly solid route runner. So again, you gotta start getting to the point at where Adam Thielen is kind of turn to the side or becomes your third option at wide receiver, because again, you gotta have a receiver to grow with Bryce Young, and who better to grow with him than a guy he already knew in college. So for me, Isaiah Bond is for Carolina. Next, the New Orleans Saints. Because they're going with a first-year defensive coordinator, it's hard for me to believe that they can just take a guy like a Will Johnson and do things with him, because Will Johnson doesn't seem to be as scheme diverse as you want him to be. I would have to go with a guy who played in that Dennis Allen. No, I'm sorry. Dennis Allen I can't remember the guy's name, but the defensive coordinator who's now moving into this thing. This is his first year, and because of that, you need a cornerback that can really do it. And I think, in fact, it's Brandon Staley. My bad. Brandon Staley is the defensive coordinator. Now, with Brandon Staley, you're gonna have to remember, he's not, his staff hasn't been great with developing secondary guys. When he has had success, it's normally with guys who kinda can do their own thing and yet still not be in a position to harm the defense. And with that being said, I don't think Will Johnson is the best fit for here. But there is a guy that I do think is a better fit, and that guy is Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. Because he's so scheme diverse, and because he's able to make up for mistakes, I think that this guy's probably the perfect fit here, because he's a guy that you don't need to coach as much, and that you can leave him on the island and he'll make the right play or the correct play or recover from a bad play. So for me, Jahdae Barron is probably the best fit, because again, Brandon Staley, he's done an okay job, but I haven't seen him develop a lot of quality secondary players in his tenure in the NFL. So with that being said, Jahdae Barron for me is the best fit. Next is the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears need to groom a guy to be their next big linebacker. And with that being said, I got Jahad Campbell in there. And the reason why is because I think they can utilize him in ways that will be perfect. Like he can play their strong side linebacker or their strong inside linebacker and still be pretty good when everything is said and done. He'll be able to rush the quarterback if need be, but at the same time, you can actually put him as a linebacker and let him just roam around and play sideline to sideline. He has that coverage ability that's going to be very good when it comes to this. And for me, I don't see a situation where Jahad Campbell wouldn't be the best fit for Chicago, especially defensively. So that would be a fantastic thing. And I think that Chicago is actually the team that has their first year defensive coordinator in the scheme. I think so. I could be wrong, but I think so. But again, I just think when it comes to everything that's going on, everything, the way their defense is lined up, I think Jahad Campbell is probably their best fit. Next is the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers is going to need... I would like Kyle Shanahan to go back to basics. I think Kyle Shanahan should go after a quarterback that is a dual threat quarterback and actually focus his offense back to how he originally created it versus what it's become now, where he's kind of accommodated his offense to fit pocket passers, and to be quite honest, it hasn't worked. So with that, even though that's what I want, what they need, I'm not going to go too far off the deep end. Because again, I'm going to try my best to stick to guys that can be taken in the first round. So for that, with the San Francisco 49ers, I have Kenneth Grant as their pick. The reason why I went with Kenneth Grant is because when it comes to Robert Saleh, he knows how to groom defensive tackles. He knows how to make sure that they're the best they can be. And we've seen it with Quinnen Williams and Eric Armstead. We've seen it with not DeForest Buckner, but I mean he helped a lot of defensive tackle guys out there. And to me, I just feel that this guy, that Robert Saleh, is just a quality coach when it comes to development. And with that, I just feel that when it comes to Kenneth Grant fits that mold of the type of defensive tackle he likes. A guy who can take up space and rush the passer when need be. A guy who can collapse the pocket. And all they got to do is probably teach him leverage a little bit better. But again, I feel that Robert Saleh will do that. And for me, Kenneth Grant is probably the best fit for the San Francisco 49ers. Next, I got the Dallas Cowboys. To me, I feel that this is possibly the only team that will let him do what he wants to do and would appreciate him doing what he wants to do. Not only that, Jerry Jones wants to sell stuff. He wants to just sell, and be able to sell stuff in bulk. And with that being said, Travis Hunter is the fit here. I think that Dallas would let him play wide receiver, let him start at wide receiver, and at the same time let him play defense. We saw them accomplish this when it came to Deion Sanders, and what better way to reach out to Deion than to show that they're willing to get his clone or a better version of himself down in Dallas and actually play well. Because again, they would let him play wide receiver full time, and then when, if they need him on the defensive side of the ball, say like to play a 3 wide receiver set, to play against a 3 wide receiver set, I think they'll let him do it. And I think that Dallas is the only place that would understand how to let him do that. So for that, Travis Hunter would be the best fit in Dallas. Next is Miami. They need a cornerback opposite of Jalen Ramsey. And possibly the guy who will eventually replace Jalen Ramsey if Jalen Ramsey gets traded. With that, I have Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. everything about him screams the scheme that he's going to be fitting in when it comes to Miami. He is a guy that can play man, but he does a better job playing zone. Again, I think that, he would be a better fit because he won't have to be concerned with trying to do anything outside of the scheme that will mess with his technique or his skill. And with that, I just feel that Miami is the best fit for Will Johnson. Next is the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis has a very interesting scenario that's going on, especially when they're still trying to see if Anthony Richardson is the long-term starter at quarterback. With that, I think Tyler Warren is the best fit there, not only because he's a tight end that can really do a bunch of receiving, he's also a very good blocker as well. And the fact that you're able to put him in the backfield as an H-back, have him come out the backfield and catching passes, have him run up the seam, catch passes, have him run down the sideline to catch passes. I think that this would help Anthony Richardson's progress when it comes to him developing more and more into the style of quarterback that I think that the Indianapolis Colts want. So for that, Tyler Warren is the best fit for Indianapolis. Next is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have put together a very solid team this offseason, and they've done a very fantastic job with it. And with that, the thing that I think they need more than anything else is a cornerback. They need a fast cornerback that's going to stick with the likes of Chris Godwin, Rasheen Shaheed, and also also whatever speed wide receiver they get in Carolina. With that being said, Maxwell Harrison is the fit in Atlanta. Everything about his style of play fits what Atlanta wants to do, fits what Atlanta needs to do, and fits what Atlanta has to do against the other teams in their division, especially if Carolina drafts a speed receiver, like I said, like an Isaiah Bond. They're going to have to deal with that speed, and they're going to have to need a corner who can cover and take advantage of and actually adapt to that level of speed. So with that, Maxwell Harrison is the pick. Next is the Arizona Cardinals. Calais Campbell and Tomlinson are both older players at this point. I think Tomlinson is 31 and Calais Campbell maybe about 38, I'm thinking. But again, you're going to have to eventually replace them with younger guys. You're going to have to do that to keep this defense strong as possible, especially when you're talking about Jonathan Gannon's offense. So with that being said, the guy I feel is the best fit here is Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. I think that he's the best fit for them. He gives them that burst of youth. Not only that, he gets to learn from both Calais Campbell and Tomlinson, and at the same time show that he has the ability to really rush the passer, because that's one thing that he was able to do, and he had a very high motor. So what that does is that will spell Calais Campbell and Tomlinson for a lot of time. So with that, Walter Nolan is the best fit for the Arizona Cardinals. Next is the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati defensively have had its issues. But one of the things that is hovering over its head right now is the factor of what to do with Trey Hendrickson. And because that is such a thing that's there, you have to be ready to possibly trade him during the draft, or actually sit up there and find a way to replace him during the draft as well. And with that being said, Kyle Kennard to me is the best fit for them. You're talking about a guy who can come in and play instantly, can actually take over that spot that Trey Hendrickson would be moving out of, Or if you don't, at least you got a guy in there that can do that, that can come in and possibly supplant a Trey Hendrickson, or sit up there and just be able to come in on certain downs and play well as also. He's a very solid pass rusher, and he does a far better job against the run than what Trey Hendrickson was doing. So with that, Kyle Kennard is the best fit for the Cincinnati Bengals. Next is the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is now going into the new era without Pete Carroll, without Russell Wilson, without Geno Smith. Now we're talking about the fact that they're going in a completely different direction with Sam Darnold. And with that, they're going to need more pieces on the offensive line that's going to make them better. And with that being said, I have Donovan Jackson, the offensive lineman out of Ohio State. Fantastic player. Can kick out to tackle if need be. More than likely probably could play both offensive line, offensive guard spots, and probably both offensive tackle spots. But with that, you need a guy that can come in and start playing now and instantaneously. And if need be, he can kick out to a tackle position if an injury concern comes about. And you can always just have another guy who can play guard to back him up. So again, I just think Donovan Jackson here would be the best fit. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lavonte David is up there. And you got to look for his future replacement. You got to find a guy who has the energy to play that role, the ability to get to the quarterback fast and blitz if need be, and a guy who can play sideline to sideline, and that can also possibly call plays. And for that, the best fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, without a shadow of a doubt, is Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. Again, this guy fits them perfectly. Like I said, Lavonte David, he's gonna have to go. He's getting up there in age, and you need his eventual replacement. And with that, Jalen Walker is the perfect fit for that. His ability to get sideline to sideline, his ability to blitz on certain packages and get there quickly. Man, this guy does nothing but look good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially if he's there for them. They should definitely pick him up. Next is the Denver Broncos, and we know running back. With that being said, it would be nice for them there to be a dynamic runner in their backfield. A guy who can actually run, do a lot of things, run the ball, catch passes out the backfield, especially to help relieve Bo Nix of trying to be Superman when it comes down to it and him making a bunch of mistakes. With that being said, Travion Henderson would be the best fit for Denver. I know that some people are going to say, John, really? Yeah, when you really think about it, Sean Payton had Alvin Kamara for a long time. You can have a guy that's maybe not as super fast as Alvin Kamara, but is up there in the level of speed and ability as well, and his ability to, get out to make passes, pass block, things of that such nature. He would be a welcome commodity to the Denver Broncos, and that for me would be the best fit. Next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. They don't just need a quarterback. They need a quarterback that can play that offensive scheme that Arthur Smith runs. And with that being said, to me, the quarterback here, without a shadow of a doubt, is Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe would help with several things. One, he's the similarity to Lamar Jackson. So when they go play the Ravens will have to defense will have to deal with Jalen Milroe just as much as the Steelers defense will have to deal with Lamar Jackson. And to basically have an offense that kind of mirror each other, they're going to have to deal with a lot. And I think that when it comes down to it, I know this may not be the sexiest pick, but it's the smart pick, especially when you're talking about Arthur Smith's offense, who he just loves to run the ball. But with that, he's going to need a guy who can actually do a RPO type of system as well. We're not talking about a Justin Fields, Russell Wilson thing where these guys wanted to throw more than actually use their legs to run. This guy, Jalen Milroe, is going to run. And like I said, again, to me, he's the perfect fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next is the Los Angeles Chargers. They need an edge guy. They need an edge guy that's going to stop the run, be able to rush the passer, and possibly give them an opportunity to slide him on the inside every so often, just to play side by side with T.R. Tart. With that, the best fit for the Los Angeles Chargers is Nick Scorton, the edge guy out of Texas A&M. I like him. I like him a whole lot. And I do feel that he would fit that Chargers system very well. He would be not only that, he would be a welcome replacement for Joey Bosa, who, even though was injured all the time, there was always a thought he was going to come back and be quite successful, but he never made it back. And because of that, they need somebody who's young, energetic, and possibly a stronger pass rusher. And with that, Nick Scorton is that guy. And I think that he fits their scheme perfectly. Next is the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay corner. I thought corner was going to be the thing, but a player actually fell to them, and that guy is Matthew Golden. To me, Matthew Golden is the elite receiver in this draft. He's the number one guy for me. But what does Green Bay need? A number one guy that stays healthy and stays on the field. So for that, Matthew Golden would be the perfect fit. Not only that, you can think about the fact of having a Matthew Golden paired up with not only Christian Watson, but also Jaden Reed. And you're talking about you can have the most dangerous trio at wide receiver in Green Bay. So not only that, oh my God, I can't think of his name. The coach, his offense is perfectly made for a receiver like Matthew Golden. Not only that, he wouldn't stop the ball from going to him. It would be a situation where he would definitely cause a lot of problems for people, especially when you're talking about going up against the Bears and the Lions and the Vikings. He would be a dangerous addition to the Green Bay Packers. Next is the Minnesota Vikings. They need offensive line because they've gone through, I think, last year where they had two injured offensive linemen, and then they signed an often injured offensive lineman in Will Freeze. So with that, I think Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, would be the best fit for them. And I think that it would be worthwhile for them to get an offensive lineman that can come in and, again, will be younger and at the same time less injured, durable, able to play pretty often. So for that, and it helps you keep J.J. McCarthy upright as he's starting to learn the offense and his at his age. So that's going to be a vital thing when it comes to that. So for me, Tyler Booker is the best fit. Next, the Houston Texans. At this point in the draft, I think that a lot of guys can possibly take the best player available or the best player of need. So with that, for the Houston Texans, I have Kelvin Banks that could and possibly would fall to them. again, when you talk about the tackles that they got in Trent Brown and, oh my God, I can't remember the other guy that they got at tackle, but Kelvin Banks can actually play both sides. If you feel that he can play tackle, the left tackle or the right tackle, you can actually put him in both positions. He can also play guard if need be, but again, this would keep him at tackle. And I think that the scheme that they're going to run this season would fit a guy like Kelvin Banks. It would really utilize his ability to be strong against the in the run game to really fit a need that they would absolutely appreciate in the long run. So for me, Kelvin Banks Jr. would be the pick here. Would be the best fit here. Next, the LA Rams. They're going to need more offense to combat anybody that they're going to go up against. And for me, I gave them Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas. I do feel that Gunnar Helm does fit that Sean McVay scheme. And I'm pretty sure there would be no problem of him. It would probably be easy for him to beat out Tyler Higbee in the tight end role, So, or the tight end position. So again, I think that when it comes to Gunnar Helm, he's the best fit for the Los Angeles Rams. Next is the Baltimore Ravens, and I got them just taking the best player available, and that's Abdul Carter. It does help them be able to build for the future when it comes to this edge position. Not only that, if he doesn't work out at edge, you can move him to linebacker and let him learn from Roquan Smith and how to be a very solid linebacker and possibly Roquan's running buddy. I know they have Trent Simpson there, but I do feel that there's a chance that if you did get Abdul Carter at this point, you could slide him into that position. And like I said, if he doesn't work out at edge, you can play him at linebacker, and he will have a fantastic mentor at linebacker. Next, the Detroit Lions. For them, I gave them the best player available of need. So for that, it would be Demetrius Knight, the linebacker out of South Carolina. I think it's South Carolina. Demetrius Knight, it'll probably take him some time to really learn or develop in the system. But I think that when it comes down to it, he's a strong Mike linebacker. Not as fast or agile side to side, but I don't think they'll need him to be that way in this particular scheme. I think that they'll be able to sit up there and accommodate his abilities just by letting him go out there and learn the position. So for me, if this guy's here, best player of need, Demetrius Knight Jr. would be the pick. For the Washington Commanders, I went with best player of need, and that need was corner. I do understand that we got Jack Jones, Jonathan Jones, and we got Marshawn Lattimore, but I do feel that there's a chance that Jonathan Jones may not be the best thing. And with that, I have us taking Trey Amos, the corner out of Ole Miss. The other Ole Miss corner. Ole Miss. I like his size. I like his ability to play within any system. He's not scheme limited. He can play press man and he can play zone. So again, I like his ability, his all-around ability. And I like the fact that he's a tough guy. So for that, Trey Amos would be my pick. All right, y'all, we down to the last three. For Buffalo, again, another team, very solid team, very good. I let them take the best player available, and that would be Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Being as though Michigan is not far from Buffalo, he wouldn't be moving that far. And because he's used to that level of cold and playing in that type of cold, that would be a perfect fit for him. Not only that, you're talking about Ed Oliver is starting to get up there in age, and they're going to need his replacement eventually. So with that, Mason Graham would be the fit for the Buffalo Bills. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I made this comment on another video, but the best fit for the Kansas City Chiefs is Dante Thornton Jr., the wide receiver out of Texas. I said this before, but I'll just say it again. Andy Reid has been looking for this type of wide receiver for a very long time. I think he's been looking for this type of receiver since Terrell Owens. A tall guy who has speed that can outrun defenses. And that's what Dante Thornton is. I'm going to say this and I'm going to keep saying this. Do not be surprised that if Kansas City takes Dante Thornton Jr. in the first round, do not be surprised by this. Because this guy, like I said, it's hard to deal with that level of speed and a guy who can sit up there and really blow the top off of defenses. And like I said again, you're talking about his height. I think that that's something that Andy Reid is not going to be able to ignore, and he's going to really want in his wide receiver room. So for that, Dante Thornton Jr. would be the guy. Last but not least is the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a lot of holes in their team, but I'm pretty sure they want to build and get some depth. With that being said, I got Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. You lose Milton Williams, you bring in Derek Harmon. All this does is cement Philadelphia even more. It holds them accountable for when it comes to saying that, well, our defense collapsed because we lost Milton Williams. Derek Harmon will fit right in there. He'll be able to rush the passer, playing opposite of either Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter. He would be a perfect fit for Philadelphia. And that is it. That is my not mock draft, where I've placed the players in their best positions and the best places for them to go, and not based on information that I know or people I'm talking to or trying to predict their spaces. But all these players will fit perfectly in all these schemes. Y'all tell me what y'all think of my not mock draft. Y'all tell me if it's dumb. Y'all tell me if it's good. Y'all let me know down in the comments. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and it's been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.